But today, let's start with Mr. Larry Amoros. Larry, come on. You are the next
Hi, honey.
contestant.
How are you, my love?
Good, there you are. So look
There
at
I am.
the movie star from Southern California with those
I
glasses.
know. Meanwhile, I cannot believe how big my face looks on this screen. It's terrifying. I mean, it looks like a pumpkin on a refrigerator. It's just enormous. I don't know what happened.
It looks like the face of an extremely talented, incredibly talented man.
Well, glaucoma serves you well.
You know, when I told people that you were going to join me, I was very excited. But everybody was like, oh my God, you are the most quick-witted freaking man on the planet. I follow you on the .com. I know you through a mutual friend, of course, God rest her soul, Adrian Tulsh. But,
My girl.
So let me ask you this. Joan Rivers, Joy Behar, Rosie O'Donnell, Barry Manilow, The Nanny, Mark Twain Prize. You've written for, so let's start with Joan. Tell me what your relationship was like with Joan Rivers.
Well, we were lovers.
Of course.
Which was tricky because she was so old.
Yeah.
Joan was fantastic. Fantastic. And, you know, the person you see on stage is not who she was. I mean, it's a character, it's acting. I mean, in real life, she was classy and sophisticated and warm. If she walked into your house and she just made, she'd go, oh, do you need anything? Can I get you some soup? She always carried a bag full of tchotchkes and scarves around that she'd hand out to people.
Really?
She was great. She was nothing like that character. You know, there was once we were at Melissa's house, and Melissa's son at the time was about 10 or 11, and he used the F word.
Ooh.
And Joan turned and said, we don't talk like that. And he said, you do it all the time. And she said, it's part of a show. We don't do that in real life.
Really?
And it was a very interesting little moment. Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, let me tell you something about, I did have the pleasure of interviewing Joan a couple of times, and she was very real. And I remember as she got older, she was trying to remember her bits on big pieces of paper on the stage. Yeah. She was rehearsing, and she was at the duplex in the Village, and she recognized me from having interviewed her a couple of times. Sit up front. I need you up front. Get her. I want her up front, because she knew I wouldn't out her doing her work, right?
Right.
The respect for her from, you know, I think any comic. So what do you think people would, so that's what you think people would be surprised to know?
Well, yeah, I mean, but, you know, she was all about the joke. Where's the joke? Always looking for the punchline. Always, that's the way her brain worked. And the first time I actually sat down with her, we were kind of matched together at the Mark Twain Prize in Washington, the Kennedy Center. And she needed somebody to write something, and she knew who I was, and we communicated, but she never met me in person. And I walk in, the first thing she says to me, she goes, what makes you laugh? And I said, the folly of the Holocaust.
The what of the folly of the Holocaust?
The folly of the Holocaust.
Oh my God.
And she immediately said, give me your phone number. Because if you open with an Auschwitz joke and she flies with it, you're in good shape. So after the show, she said, what's your number? I want to work with you. I said, is there anything we can't talk about? Any topics that are off limits? She goes, no. I said, what about your husband's suicide? She said, I had 20 new minutes before they closed the casket. I said, how could you not like this woman? And she was great. There was nowhere you could, comedy-wise, there was nowhere you couldn't go.
Well, you know, too, and then we started getting so damn politically correct in the world and in the country. I wonder what she would be having a field day right now with, oh, hold on, you guys. Something's crazy's going on.
Do I look better?
Can you see me or hear me? Because it's going to live. It says now it's going to Facebook Live. This is my nightmare.
We've been on here for 45 minutes.
This is insane. Yeah, but I feel so rude interrupting you in the middle of such a fantastic
I'm used to it.
Story. Let's just see where this goes. Bear with me a moment. Can you see me right now, Larry, as I'm talking to you?
Yeah, no, I can see you in here. Everything's fine here.
All right. Well, I don't know why this is spinning right round like a record baby, but who knows? I have no idea.
If it doesn't go live, hopefully it'll be taped and you can use it afterwards or something.
It's both. Yeah, it's both. People are watching it on Zoom. I just also wanted it to be.
Okay.
All right. So let me know. Is anybody seeing it on Facebook? I'm asking the masses, the people, the 4,600 people. Yes, they're seeing it on the .com. Yay!
Oh, then it's working. Okay, that's good.
So I know with this political correct times, she would be going out of her mind.
Well, you know,
having a
there was a thing once we were talking, and somebody was complaining about something that she said in her act, and she said, "You don't like the way things are? Call your fucking congressman. I just write jokes."
See, I love that bravery.
I'm a comedian. I tell jokes. You don't like it? Call your congressman. You know, I'm not here to run the country. I'm here to make people laugh for 40 minutes. And you know,
She
great.
didn't back down. She didn't back down.
No, I'll never forget. She didn't. It was. I think it was the time she was on Tavis Smiley a couple months before she died in 2014.
I liked him.
I know, and she was talking to him about again the whole political correct thing and this and the other thing. And he said to her, he said, you know, you say a lot of things that are cutting edge or offensive, and she said, you know what? If you don't like it, don't see my shows. Don't buy a ticket.
Well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? Turn the channel. Don't stay. I mean, we're all a bunch of freaking victims, and now we're living in a time where our leaders like everybody's so unfair to us. What are you talking about? We're like the big kid on the block. Enough.
I know. It's just, you know, oh, please.
Now, when everybody was rocking out to Kiss and Aerosmith, and I do love Aerosmith, Maureen Langan was playing Barry Manilow albums.
Was I?
I love him. So tell me about working with Barry Manilow, what you've done and all that.
Well, okay. He's a good friend. We've been working together for 27 years.
Wow.
He's great. He's great. He's closer to what you see on stage than most performers are. I mean, he's a really nice guy. And the thing is, he's actually funny. You know, I mean, he's got a way about him. So whenever I work with somebody, it's really a collaboration. It's a back and forth, like I'm talking to you now.
Yeah, it has to be.
You know, and it's just great. I mean, I've gotten to travel the world with him. You know, it's just been a thrill. You know, one time he was playing in the UK at Blenheim Palace outdoors, and they had like a private dinner for him. And you know, there's like 10 of us, 12 of us there but it's with the Duke and Duchess of Marlborough.
Oh.
And
which one? Who are they? Duke and Duchess of Marlborough. Who would they be?
They're royal people. I don't know.
Royal. Okay, I didn't know if I'm supposed to know them. I didn't know if that was.
I don't know. They're Duke and Duchesses.
Okay.
I live in Laguna Niguel. What do I know? I'm
a daughter of a garbage man. What do I know?
So I'm sitting with royalty. I don't know. Normally, if I'm a couple of queens, I'm at a bar. So anyway, so I'm sitting with the Duke and Duchess, and it's me and the Duchess and Barry's publicist, whose name I can't remember, and it's going to drive me crazy. And the Duchess is getting a little throwing him back.
Oh, yeah.
And we start playing a game called What's Your Safe Word? Which, you know, you're talking sex with the Duchess of Marlborough, who's got to be 75 years old. And she's getting really hammered. And we're saying, well, what's your safe word? And we're having jokes back and forth. She goes, I just tell the old bugger to get the fuck off of me. That's fantastic. How do you explain that? That's a Duchess of Marlborough. I mean, is that
fun, right? But isn't it fun when people will open up like a sandwich that wasn't wrapped properly and just like they feel
3 vodkas and a pat on the back. She's in the gutter like the rest of us.
Very funny. But you know, right. Oh my God, that is great. I'm just watching for questions that are coming through. So like what would piss Barry Manilow off? Did he ever like chuck a lamp across the room?
No. Let's see. Well, he's really, if there's a huge technical thing or like something goes wrong in the middle of a show, you'll never see it on stage, but afterwards, and I think it's true of most musical artists, is the sound.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you and I would do stand-up or when you guys are doing stand-up, it's different than having like an orchestra and a band behind you in an arena. It's kind of like a jet engine up there. What they're hearing, they can't hear the audience. They can't see them. It's all dark. So it's all music, and they have little buds in their ear, and there's a guy in the audience who's the house sound guy. Then there's a mixer off on the left, another sound guy here. And if the sound is off, they literally can't hear anything. And try singing with an orchestra when you're completely stone deaf.
Oh, wow.
That drives, every musical artist I've ever worked with drives them nuts because they literally can't hear themselves.
Well, the thing is, too, like as a comic, we can be like, hi, you guys, and is this mic on? No, but I mean, we can be like, hey, guys, a lot of sound, you know, come back.
They'll do that. They'll say, pick it up, drop it. But if it goes on persistently, it'll drive them crazy.
So how often do you perform, travel with him and go places with Barry?
Well, this year he's doing another residency in Vegas, except right now everything is shut down.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be working.
I know.
You know, and we were supposed to have a residency in Vegas through the year, plus a couple of weeks in the UK. But right now everything's being moved and postponed and shut down because you can't have a live audience anywhere.
What are you
especially in
able to
you know,
do now that, how are you, I'm sure you're getting great residuals and checks from these people who love you, and I'm sure Joan left you in her will, but what are you doing?
Oh, you jest. Oh, you jest.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Let me tell, oh, can I tell you a Melissa Rivers quick story?
She's a good friend of mine, so be careful.
Oh, it's a good story.
Oh, fantastic. I'd love to hear it.
Oh no, it's, and even if it weren't, I tell you and you'd be like, ah, you know, but I did one of my worst gigs ever was a couple years ago at the Gracie Awards, women supporting women, and they're not supporting me. And I'm up there and they're staring at me like, she's not famous. Why is she doing comedy? And I make
Oh,
Kardashian jokes, and Kathy Lee Gifford's really good friends with Mama Kardashian, you know, the pimp.
Kris
And
Jenner, right? Yeah, the whoremaster.
yeah, so they're all looking at me and it's awful. And Melissa, I have to go back out. I don't have to. They go, Maureen, you don't have to go back out in the middle. I go, I'm going back out. And then I tanked even worse. But Melissa was in the wings. Elizabeth Janney was right up front. Allison Janney was right up front and so supportive and giving this great energy. And Melissa's in the wings. I come out before I go back on. She's like, these people, I'm going out there. My mother was a comic. I know how hard it is what you're doing. I'm going out there and I'm telling them off. I go, no, you don't have to. She says, bullshit. That was Melissa Rivers.
Good for, you know, we're actually, a shameless plug, we're actually writing another book now that'll be out Mother's Day 2021, and it's really funny.
Do you have a working title yet?
A working title is Lies My Mother Told Me.
I love it.
Because Joan was kind of a pathological liar, but in a good way, not in a Donald Trump way.
Give an example. I have to have an example now.
Oh God. Her motto was always, why let the truth get in the way of a good story? So she'd say, I met so-and-so and so-and-so, and they said this and they said that. She might have passed them on the line in a supermarket. But suddenly she creates, but it's always for fun or uplifting. It was never anything nasty, but she made stuff up.
Miss her madly, as I know, nobody, you know, you must like tenfold whatever we feel, because you got to, how many years did you work with her?
Not 12, but it was the last 12. She was great. She was great.
Well, I'm gonna in a moment bring in our other guests, but
absolutely.
I know you also worked with I love my Rosie O'Donnell, and I know she's
fantastic. I love Rosie.
Love her, and I got to perform with her at Town Hall on Broadway. And
oh my God!
Yeah, because she didn't want to headline. She wanted to. She has Judy Gold and Wendy Liebman open for her. And when they were doing the New York Comedy Festival, I called Caroline's on Broadway, which is they're the people behind it. I said, "Can I work with Rosie? I love her so much. Big Irish Catholic family, I just connect. I don't connect. I don't know if she would connect with me, but So they said, Maureen, she has her openers. I'm like, damn. So turns out she wants to host, so they need more comics on. So
fantastic.
Her former producer, Jeanette Barber, said, no, Maureen, she'll be fine. And I wound up doing a very good job for her. She invites me up to her house to go on her radio show. I get there, there's a compound. There's 5 houses, like her crafts house, her live-in house, her radio house.
Oh my God, it's a compound.
I said to the driver, which one is her house? He said, all of them. So when I did her show, she said, Maureen, I'm thinking of selling this. I go, you can't. She goes, why not? I go, because other than the Kennedys, you're the only Irish person I know with a compound. Oh, so Larry, how do people follow you? You're going to hang with us when I bring in my friends.
Absolutely. I want to hear Joe and Francisco. I want to hear this.
Yes, terrific. All right.